What if the thing that's been exhausting you at work isn't the job, but the shame you've been carrying about who you are? Welcome back to the podcast. Due to the incredible reaction of our initial conversation, I've invited back Tina Squire, and this episode goes way deeper. We talk about what happens when you finally let go of self-blame, of trying to prove yourself, of feeling like you're a problem that needs fixing, and how everything starts to change when you begin living and making decisions from your values instead. We explore why burnout is so common for ADHD adults in the workplace, including the hidden impact of rejection sensitivity, emotional overload, and years of masking, and what it really takes to work with your brain, not constantly against it. This is a powerful, compassionate conversation about purpose, self-trust, and reclaiming your energy. Let's dive in. I just want to start off by asking you, we both spent years as neurodivergent adults without realizing, and you mentioned about some shame that you kind of let go of when you were diagnosed. So how do you see, how did your life change from getting that diagnosis to where you are now? What would you say is the main differences?
I make less apologies for myself, to myself as well as to other people. And I'm actually surprised that I have answers for this, because I thought, oh my God, that's a big question, but here we are, it's just coming out. And I'm much more able to explain to people about myself as well, even if it's not explicitly, this is how I work and this is how I operate. I just set things up in a way that works for me, less friction. I mean, some things you learn the hard way, I remember the first year was, I was scheduling stuff in, and I was going to conferences and events, and I was using my diary, obviously, but what I wasn't doing was looking at the bigger picture. So I'd have one event, I'd be home for a day, and I'd go somewhere else, and I'd just be like, oh my God, it felt like I was just swept away with this waves of stuff that didn't quite work. So you live and learn a lot as well, but you kind of live and learn on a different level. Yeah, you interpret things differently. You take on less shame. You you at least have the opportunity to kind of go when you're feeling like you are just bad or lazy, or it's no, it's okay, I'm gonna catch myself. That's not the case. I mean, other things, oh my Jesus, I could probably go on about this forever now you ask me. I do a lot more things now verbally. I talk a lot more to myself, to my technology, and to other people. I appreciate the human connection that I need, and I as well as just verbally processing. I have an appreciation for verbally processing, and I think a lot of us are verbal processors.
I certainly see that.
Yeah.
I see that. Yeah.
And that, not to say that everybody is, but yeah, and I think a very deep appreciation for kind of getting stuff out of my head, because there's a lot going on in there. It moves very, very fast. So getting it out of my head means it slows down, right? Because when you're speaking, you slow down. Even if I'm speaking myself, you slow down.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I talk to myself a lot more, to be fair.
I mean, I think I'm just such a great believer in that. Talking, anything externally processing, really, isn't it? So whether it's speaking or writing, it's just all so helpful, I think, because it is getting us out of our busy mind and actually getting out here somewhere into the ether.
Yeah. And you can see it, and you can do stuff with it there, and you can spot patterns potentially, or But yeah, because it slows down. So yeah, I like that. Externally, what did you say?
Externally processing.
Yeah, I wonder if that's better than like getting it out of your head. But either way, like,
I mean, same thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I love, which I think you know this about me, but I love that emotional freedom technique, the tapping.
Yeah.
And what I absolutely think it's great for neurodiverse adults or children even, but you know, obviously I work with adults, because you're calming your nervous system with the tapping,
Yeah.
and externalizing what's going on for you emotionally, with your thoughts and your feelings. So as we talked last time about how we're feeling creatures as ADHDers, we have a lot of intense emotions.
Yeah.
So I feel like I think it's one of the most powerful things you can do is when we are feeling dysregulated is this tapping, because we're telling our nervous system that it's safe, our body is safe, at the same time as getting all this busy mind, getting it out there. And it's I've never known it not to be quite transformative.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like I've tried tapping and I like it. It's not something I keep coming back to, but I think it's also, again, like appreciating that it's so different for everybody, and you should absolutely try it. It's like so many people will say as well that they've tried meditation, it didn't work for me. I hear that a lot. I'm sure you do too. And that's often because we think that it should be done in a certain way. Like you have to sit still and you have to sit cross-legged and you know and clear your mind or what have you. And it's like once you stop putting that kind of pressure on yourself, and particularly that, you know, that you should feel a certain way or you should have a clear mind, because I think for most ADHDers that's like not really going to work. It can be a really, there's so many benefits to all of those kind of somatic, like body. So somatic is, you know, you a body approach, as I like to call it. So I like to kind of almost separate like a brain approach, like thinking about things, and a body approach. Because sometimes you need to start with the brain approach and sometimes you need to start with the body approach, which would be your EFT, for example. And that can be so helpful for some people, especially when we can't get out of our head, right? Like start with the body approach, take it from there.
Yeah. I really like that, because it's like you can start with it, but ultimately we know it's all really the same system going on, don't we? But it's that way in, isn't it? Like when we're thinking, I need to fix it all at the same time, or, you know, fix as in, you know, inverted commas, that can be really overwhelming, can't it? So to pick one, like, I'm going to start with the body, or I'm going to start with the mind. Just like, I love that.
Actually, so, you know, when we talk about rejection sensitivity dysphoria as well. So I have a sort of framework that I use with my clients when we talk about rejection sensitivity. And
I love a framework. Please share a framework.
Because it's one of those things that you just have to chip away at, right? Like you've had it for forever. Everyone I speak to have had it forever. So it takes a while to sort of chip away out, and you have to catch yourself earlier. And I like to reframe it, which most of my clients like as well, is that every time it happens, it's an opportunity to practice and chip away at it. So it's sort of, obviously it's not great when it happens often, but it gives you that opportunity at least, and then it has a sort of positive edge to it, I suppose. But part of the framework, I think, and I in my opinion, my very humble opinion, is and what makes it RSD is that it sits in your body, right? Everybody can have a reaction to rejection or like a strong emotion, and then so this ties into the framework, since you like a framework. So it's like, first we need to notice it's there. It's like going, oh, there it is. Yeah, that's that really strong emotion. Call it RSD. And then we try and make sense of it. Like, why is this happening? What's going on? Which is fine. Like a little bit of, we need to understand what's happening. I think that can be really helpful for people. But understanding it isn't the whole picture for sure. And we then try and reason with it, right? And it can often be things like, I know they didn't mean that. Like, I know they love me, or, I know it's just all in my head. And this is where I would say most neurotypicals, that's where it ends for them, right? It's like, I can talk some sense into myself. I know it's not logical, so I'll leave it there. What makes it rejection sensitivity dysphoria is that for us, like, we can do all that work. We can, tell ourselves that, like, we know, like, it's not just even telling ourselves, we know it's not it's not real or what have you, but it lives in our bodies. Like, it sits, it just, and you can't ignore that. If you just try and leave it at the kind of, it doesn't make sense, I shouldn't feel this way, like, that's just not helpful, because it's just all over your body.
Yeah.
And that's often where I would then recommend like a somatic approach or body approach. It's like, what do you now need to do to process that out?
Yeah, I love that. It's like there's a book, isn't there, called The Body Keeps the Score?
Yeah.
And I think that is like really spot on, really, that the body keeps the score. And it's not, it can be, not logical at all. Our brain can know that, but our body doesn't. Our nervous system is in fight or flight. And so it doesn't matter how logical it is, it's not going to touch the sides, is it, really?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, does that resonate with like your experience? Because I know you are, obviously you like the EFT and you practice it, and I know you use other.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, and even the word, the phrase rejection sensitivity dysphoria, the word dysphoria means pain, like literally visceral pain. So what you're saying is so true, isn't it? That we feel it. It's a felt sense. It's not something logical in our brain that we can reason with. I mean that we can, but there needs to be the body, has to be taken into account there. And how do we calm our nervous system? How do we tell ourselves that we're safe? Or tell our body? Because the thing with the tapping, that's why I love it, because it works with both things. Like we're saying, you've got the brain is externally processing what's actually happening, or our thoughts and our feelings, but actually we're telling our body that our body's safe. Like you would. So the body doesn't know language. The
body,
like a
big hug.
It knows physiological. And it's the phys. So there's so many other somatic things, like you're saying, aren't there, that could be helpful. Like you said, like even to hug ourselves. Apparently, I didn't know this till quite recently. I mean, if we just do this to ourselves, that is like giving us oxytocin that you would get if someone else was hugging you, because the body doesn't know if it's you or someone else, which is fascinating to me.
Oh, I love that. I mean, I love that in that context, but it's also lots of other contexts. When you talk about athletes and they're picturing themselves winning, or I think they did a study at some point, and they had 3 groups, and some of them were it was like basketball or something, and some of them were practicing basketball. Some of them were visualizing themselves practicing basketball, and control group that didn't do anything. And there was literally no difference between the ones that were actually doing it and the ones that were visualizing it. Like, that's how strong that the visualizing actually can be. And I think that just leaves us open to so much possibility as well in terms of what we can achieve. I'm a big fan of affirmations, actually.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, tell me more. How do you fit them in to your world?
I kind of, it's kind of like my not confidence boost, but it's like a base layer that I use for the base of my mental well-being. I think mental fitness. I heard the other day. I like that expression, mental fitness.
Yeah.
Because I'm like every ADHD, all people have that negativity bias, and as ADHDers, we have a lot of that. So I really do believe that it's a good practice to proactively work to balance that, basically, right? Because the negativity bias is going to happen anyway. So affirmations for me is like my way of balancing that. And that also means, like, I know that when I start watching series on TV or Netflix or what have you about like serial killer documentaries, like, I know I'm not in a good place because my mind goes there and it just gets fascinated by it, and it's like it's sort of an expression of where I'm at, basically. And that's a sign now. It's like, oof, I need to pick myself up. So I try and do it on a daily basis. I try not to put too much pressure on myself in terms of how it's supposed to be done. You know, I don't need to sit cross-legged and whatnot. So sometimes that means I like this idea of low barrier to entry. So because often when we're trying to like get back into something, or we just need a low barrier to entry, basically, which means that I will accept to just have it playing in my ear while I'm brushing my teeth or something, because that's the beginning kind of thing. And sometimes I will sit and actively listen and repeat it and what have you. I do think it's important what type of affirmations, because I can hear people screaming at what we're talking about, because affirmations can be sensitive, I think, for ADHDers, because if you're listening to affirmations which are like, I am magnificent and I am great at drawing or something, and you're like, well, I'm not great at that, so it kind of doesn't work. But there are affirmations, I think, that just speak to the possibilities. So there's affirmations. You've got to find what works for you. If you're finding yourself just being very cynical about it all, those are not the right affirmations. It's as simple as that. I
think you have to believe in it, don't you? Like, even if it's not happening right now, I think I sort of use the word a bridge. So if people, for example, I know me, I had very low self-esteem, and when I first kind of looked at this kind of thing, and I couldn't say, oh, I love myself. It felt so alien because I felt like I didn't, and it just did not sit with me. But I could say something like, I'm learning to love myself, or I'm starting to accept myself, or like every day I'm getting better at, like, and so I think it's like picking, isn't it, getting that bridge. And that's what I find. I think I absolutely agree with you that affirmations can be so powerful, but not in, I think that's why they've got a bit of a bad press, isn't they? They've got, because it's like, oh, I'm just going to say, I have $1 million in the bank. I don't know why I say dollars.
I'm a millionaire. I am a millionaire. It's like, it's sort of weird manifestation.
You've got to actually believe it. But I think if you do believe that it's possible, that's what I always say to my clients. I say, because a lot of them will kick back at stuff, and I'll say, but is it possible? And then, they'd almost always could say, well, it's possible. I think if there's a bit of possibility, then, take it from impossible to possible. I'm possible. I just want to come back on something you said a minute ago, actually, which was about mental fitness. And I really love that, because I think when people say mental health, it's a bit like this black and white thing, like, oh, I've either got mental health or I haven't, or what does it even mean? Whereas fitness sounds a little bit more like, I don't know, like almost, something you could build up to, something you can put the reps in a bit. It's not this black and white thing. It's a bit, I don't know, it just seems to resonate with what maybe ADHDers might see differently.
That's what I liked about it as well. And I think we can easily end up in like a medicalized language, or like deficiency language when we talk about neurodiversity or ADHD. So I'm always kind of interested in finding words that are neutral. Like we are saying that, mental health is really important, but it sounds, it's like it's implied
people
that
think I haven't got it.
And we all have mental health, right? So mental fitness just makes more sense to me. Like it's because it's a scale. Like, where are you on the scale of mental fitness, as opposed to mental health, which is kind of and imply that we're at the lower end somewhere. And
yes, I really think it is. For me, I just think it seems to be not a black and white thing when you use that word fitness. And I know a lot of ADHDs do think in black and white terms. It's sort of our default sometimes, isn't it? And all or nothing. And so I think it takes us a bit out of that. It can be helpful, I think, in that way. So, okay, I really want to dig into purpose, living our life on purpose. I know for me, that's changed so much for me. And I'm wondering for you, how do you see purpose in your life, and what's it, can you expand on that? Yeah.
It's interesting because by the time I came to change my career, as it were, it was about 6 years ago, I had given up. And I'm not given up in the sort of sad sense that I was down about it or anything. More like I really liked what I was doing, and I enjoyed my corporate work and the people I worked with and the industry I was in. I still like the industry. I just work into it from a different angle. But I saw my peers kind of starting companies and fulfilling, I suppose, what they felt was their purpose, and there was like a bigger purpose to it. And I felt like I hadn't found that as I was looking. So I'd given up at this point. And then this all happened, and it was just so quickly, so obviously what I was meant to do. I've never looked back, I never doubted it, and I never got bored of it. Like, I just love it. And
being a coach, do you mean?
Yeah, being
a coach.
Yeah, I do mean being a coach, or just working in this space with inclusion, neurodiversity, with ADHD is something I understand, I can relate to myself, and I get an opportunity to educate and inform other people. And then it's really helpful to, I can see how helpful it makes me feel good about myself. And I get clients say this as well. It's like they almost feel bad when they feel good because they get something from other people, as it were. But it's like we all need to feel validated in what we do. I feel like I've gone off on a tangent here, but purpose then was this big lofty thing that I had to find, whereas it's been more something that I've landed quietly in, and it just makes a lot of sense to be here. And there isn't that kind of aspirational, like this is just where I'm meant to be. I'm not even saying where I was supposed to be all that time, because I think there's a time and a place for everything. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Not sure, but
yeah. It does. And I'm wondering, I know you said that your relationship with goals has changed. Does that come into this at all? How do you see goals? Because I know goals can be quite toxic sometimes, or people with ADHD can have a bit of a toxic relationship with goals, and it can be a bit difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it's been quite a journey. I've certainly, before and after diagnosis, always had that thing around the new year of like, right, what am I going to do? And I've actually had years where I didn't have sweets, for example, for a whole year, or caffeine, or whatever it was. It was usually some sort of health-related thing. But, and I used to love the sort of black and whiteness of it all. But having come out doing what I do now, and understanding more about myself and what I value, and like, I don't know if you did this, but when I started working with, like, in my business with a business strategist, and of course, we're talking about, they often say this, like, have you got values and missions, mission, vision and values? And
that's a mouthful, isn't it? Mission,
vision and values. And it felt like every kind of free workshop out there for inspiring entrepreneurs was about having your mission, vision, and values. And I think I've made so many iterations, but in the end, when you hit the right things and you kind of understand, and I think it's an understanding about like what you need as well from them, as well as them having a definition. Don't ask me about that, because I can't rattle that off. But when it's like real and true to yourself, and you actually do the work on them, they can become really good parameters for decision making, I find. And that's kind of where goals fit in as well. It's just like a different layer. So, and ironically, of course, decision making can be something that is really hard for ADHDers. It's like, how do I make this decision? So there's so many choices and decisions to make all the time, and I get stuck and I procrastinate and all of that stuff. And what we need to understand about decision making is that you can't make decisions without parameters, right? You need to, what are you basing it on? Like, it becomes difficult when we're just going, would you want chocolate or vanilla? Well, I don't know. You go on what you like best, or what you're allergic to, or whatever else, right? So mission and vision and values are those parameters, right? If somebody comes to you and says, do you want to take this course, of which is, we get that a lot, right? It's like there's lots of courses and free classes and lots of things that you can spend your time on. How do you know where you should spend your time? Well, once you've got your right mission, vision, and values, I think that you can look at that and kind of go, all right, that is aligned with who I am and how I work. And the goals, of course, is like, well, what are you trying to achieve, say, this year? And that then also becomes your decision parameters, because you'd look at marketing will always try and like prey on whatever you're going to find interesting, right? Whether you're trying to find a habit tracking app or signing up for a webinar, that's the job of marketing, to say the things the way you're going to go, oh yeah, I'd love a bit of that. So the idea is not to start from the marketing, like don't start with what shows up and gets thrown at you all the time, or when you got it, you sort of go, all right, is it part of my goals? Is it part of, like, does it fit in with who I am and what I value? And then that's how you decide. And because we have so many shiny squirrels coming at us all the time, that can be a really good decision framework. It's like, because we think very feelingly, as we've said, so then that advert comes up for that course that we've always sort of been a bit excited about and thought about. Shall I do it? And how do you know that? That's a question I get a lot. It's like, oh, I'm definitely interested in it. How do I know if it's the right thing to do? Go and check with all the stuff that you know that you're about, that you've written down. And sometimes, and this is also what I like, and this came out of working with my business strategist as well. She was like, you can always change it. And I sort of said to her, yeah, I know I can always change it. That doesn't help me. That just means I'm going to change it all the time, or like it doesn't have any real weight. But it hasn't actually worked out like that once you really resonate with it. I think, yes, you can change it, because sometimes you do go down roads and you sort of go, this is absolutely the right thing. And I'll go back to my goals and I go, where did that fit in? And I'll be surprised most of the time. I'm like, oh yeah, no, it fits in this area here actually. Yeah, no, it does fit in, and yeah, and it is me and it is what I value. But sometimes if it doesn't, then maybe we need to shift something. But then I'd say about goals as well is like, what's going to go? What are you going to take out? Because we can't just add, right?
I mean, and that's hard for an ADHDer, isn't it?
That's hard.
I mean, how do you... Well, what's coming to mind for me is, I mean, even with values, because we kind of want to do everything, don't we? So I remember even looking at when someone says, oh, pick your values and then you can make decisions. And I wanted all the values. And like, how do we pick the values? What would you say to any of the listeners who might be saying, yeah, it's all very well to get your values, but if you're having difficulty deciding on those, like how?
Yeah. I'm glad you're saying that though, because it's so true, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
And I can see you doing that, to be fair. I think that's the benefit sometimes as well, maybe working with someone. And I'm not even saying a professional, like have a conversation, like we said about externally processing something. If you're alone sitting there going, right, now I'm going to do my values work and I'm going to sit here and write it down and I like it all, like go and talk it through. And maybe even somebody who can challenge a little bit of that, because there probably is things that you can define, or if you got to make sure that they don't sort of oppose each other, or one cancels out the other, because then then everything's going to fit. It's not really going to serve you. And I quite like going back to it as well. I don't make a massive big job of it, but just to make sure that it's kind of true and aligned, and just tweaking it a bit, and making it more specific. I'm not sure I'm answering your question, but I'd say like externalizing it and like going through it with other people. And oh, actually, definitions.
Definitions?
Yeah, definitions.
Say more.
It's a thing I keep coming back to all the time. It certainly helps me, as I'm very contextual in how I understand things, so much more than I ever thought I was. And sometimes that actually leads to procrastination, because if I don't understand everything about it, it stops me from being in action. But knowing that I'm a contextual learner, I can now catch that as well, and going, it's not, I can sort of then make a decision. So do I want to continue anyway? Like, I know I don't have everything that I feel like I need, but can I just like push a little bit maybe and see how it goes? Anyway, coming back to definition. It has often freed me up. So if I was you looking at those values and kind of, I want all of it, I'd probably take a step back and go, well, what's the definition of values? How is it supposed to help me? Or what is it in? Or maybe do things like time-bound stuff. If this was my values for this year, what would they be? Like throw in things like that to, in order to refine it, get clarity. So definition is essentially about getting clarity. The reason I say definition is because I think I learned so much from just like looking up what a word actually means, or what an expression actually means. And this is where, I mean, I know you like AI, I like AI as well, but I think there's a way to use AI, and I think you can use it very cleverly, and I think we both do, picking ourselves up here, but because it can be a really good thinking partner. So where we've got so much going on, and with the values example, I might just go to AI and go, but what does values even mean? And I can put it like that. It doesn't have an ego. It doesn't care how I speak to it. I can just, blurt it out. However, like, what does values even mean? And then it does a deep dive into values, and it'll say something, you go, no, that's not what I'm on about. I'm trying to do this. And then it sort of helps you define basically for yourself what you're on about, or what you're trying to achieve, or what values mean to you. Maybe sometimes it's like a personal definition, and sometimes actually it's like the definition of the word. And I've had some really interesting insights when it comes to just looking up definitions, which is a whole other rabbit hole we probably shouldn't go into, to be honest. It'll take us all over the place. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think I don't know if you remember, because we both trained at the same initial, I mean, we've done many, many other kind of coaching things
particularly
since.
You, yeah.
But, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Particularly me, yeah. I do like a bit of training, as you know.
Yeah,
but
we've just done different training, actually. That so wasn't fair. You've done, anyway.
I was just going to say, I don't know if you remember this, but when I did ADCA, who we both initially trained with as ADHD coaches, which is the kind of gold star of training ADHD coaches in the US, really. It's was the original ones, wasn't it? But there are sort of more now. We had to do this thing where we kind of, it was a bit cheesy, I thought, at the time, but since then I've seen it, how valuable it was for like memorable moments. And kind of looking at, you know, what your, I think they even called it rainbow, like your
there's
rainbow,
a rainbow
list
and Magnificent Me, wasn't it?
That was it.
Yeah.
And it was like looking back, and I think I'd never done that before. I'd always thought this value thing and purpose was in this future.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it. And it was like elusive. Whereas looking back and now sort of seeing, well, what really, where do I feel like most alive? Where do I, you know, feel like real meaning in things that when I look back on those moments, or when did I feel like, just wanted to get out of bed in the morning for certain things. And I think that's what I found quite helpful, really. And I don't know what you think about that. Is that something that you...
Yeah, no, I love how you brought that up, because I think that's also a really good way to proactively balance your negativity bias, right?
Yeah.
We need to really wallow in those moments of success and achievement. And ironically, we do less of that, I think, than neurotypicals. Because our negativity bias is so strong, and also like when we do something, or when we're good at something, we tend to just assume that everybody knows that, or everyone's good at that. Like we don't sort of put value on that special skill or ability or achievement. So and I agree with you. It felt a bit cheesy at the times, like, oh yeah, lots of great things that I've done and what have you. Rah, ooh. But actually, the more I understand about it, and also working with clients, it is a beautiful way of balancing that negativity bias. And actually, this year I have decided so I do like mull over my wins, or write them down on a monthly basis. And I suggest any entrepreneur do this, because you don't have like monthly reviews and stuff like I would have in corporate, where we sort of go, well, how did we do this month or quarter or whatever, and sort of celebrate that. So like creating that, I think, is really important. And then I'm gonna like put them on my wall and like build it up over the year, so that, because I need that visual reminder. I've realized I'm very digital. I do everything digital, but then there's certain things that I just need to see, and those are the things. We need to remind ourselves of the good things that we do and contribute and do well. And the reason is not because we need to just feel better and, you know, give ourselves a little hug. All of that valid, yes. But what I notice, and there is science on this as well, is that the more you reiterate what you're good at, and like mining those wins, is one of the things that one of the tutors said when we train, is like, you need to mine the wins. The more we do that, the more likely we are to do more of that.
Yeah.
And the irony with that is that most people, everyone included, will, like, in order to try and do better, they beat themselves up for like, oh, I really need to do that. I've just got to make myself do that. And if I put like a really harsh consequence, or, you know, then I'll do it. And like with neurodivergent or ADHD, is that doesn't really work. Well, it only works to a point.
Yeah.
And we still beat ourselves up. So I always get my clients to sort of do the opposite, basically. Wallow in what you're good at. Remind yourself what you're good at. That's where like gratitude practices fits in as well, I think. Like, what's 3 good things that happened today? And if they're really difficult to find, it's just like things that made you feel good, things that happened.
Yeah.
And then it can grow into how you were actually part of that, right? But because it makes us do more of the good stuff. It makes us more productive. Self-kindness is a productivity tool.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think a lot of ADHDers, I think they think like to congratulate themselves or to savor some sort of success has to be this massive win. And even then they probably don't even dwell on it for very long. Might give themselves like 30 seconds. Yeah. And then it's like, move on. And I mean, I am being very, like, that's a bit of a blanket statement, but I do see that a lot with my clients. And I think it is what you're saying. It's about celebrate those small wins that aren't small, actually, because that's the point. When we have ADHD, these small things are actually really difficult for us a lot of time. So it's actually celebrating. And it's kind of almost like if we've been winding something that way, which is the negativity, I should be better at that, I should be.
Yeah.
That's a lot of, like things, we start to unwind it the other way to actually start to praise ourselves. And I think that's how we can really literally rewire our brain to actually, look for the positive. I found that in like small things like, well, it's not small, it's massive. It's massive for me. And it is for most ADHDers, is like time, trying to manage myself within time, like trying to actually focus for small amounts of time. And that's a way I could, where small wins, again, it's not small, it's massive really. But I know I get a lot of kickback again from some of my clients that go, oh, that's silly. Or like, I don't want to do that. And I say, it doesn't matter if you think it's silly.
Yeah.
It actually is going to rewire your brain, whether you like it or not. Yeah. You might think it's silly, but if you do it. So something like even saying, yay, well done me, I focus for 10 minutes. And I set a timer and I focus for 10 minutes. And yeah, it literally works. It's so, rather than the opposite, we'd be saying, oh, I didn't focus again. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
So it kind of is, I love what you're saying there.
Yeah. And I'd say if people are listening to this and they sort of go, yeah, whatever, I'm not going to, just try it.
Yeah.
Just try it. Like, it doesn't take much. Just try it and notice any difference or shifts, what have you. Can I just pick up on one thing that you said?
Of course.
So you said silly, right? And I get this all the time. You do as well. It's like, oh God, that just feels silly. And sometimes I call it adulting. It's like we don't do things or put silly structures in place because we're adults. We shouldn't need to. But all that does is really just strain our executive functions, right? So, for example, if you have stuff that you need to leave the house, and it's your phone and your keys and whatever else, and every time you have to kind of remember, right, it's my phone, my keys and my notebook or this, that and the other, and then you forget something, and then I might say, well, do a list, and they'll go, well, that feels really silly, right? It is kind of a silly strategy. Like I did it with my kids when they were younger, to have a list before they left for school. But like it saves our executive function. Why do you want to spend your precious energy spoons on like remembering in the moment when you're stressed getting out the door? So it's going to take more spoons because of the space that you're in, to like remember the things that you need to bring. Like, just have a list. Just have a list. It doesn't matter if you're an adult or if you think it's silly. It helps. If it helps, do it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about silly strategies. There are no silly strategies, basically. If they work, it's a good strategy.
In a way, they work better because if they're fun and we gamify things, we know that that's actually what ignites our ADHD brain rather than something boring. So we could make it a checklist that's kind of more silly the better.
Yeah.
Because it might actually engage us.
Yeah.
I really like that. So I think what I want to ask you about is burnout. So
all right.
because burnout can be quite a real challenge for neurotypical.
Can be for them as well, but more so for neurodivergents.
But neurodiverse people, ADHD people. How do you see, what we've been talking about so far, like, well, the values and having, living your life with a purpose maybe, or your purpose that that means something to you. How does that relate to burnout? And
I think, so I work mostly with people in work, or like in relation to their work, or whether an entrepreneur or employed. And where I see burnout cycles is where people are trying to run on motivation that isn't there, so they're essentially masking, and they're essentially just like pushing through in a way that doesn't suit them. And what happens then is we tend to rely a lot on urgency. So there's a few things that motivates or lights up an ADHD brain, right? Importance is usually not one of them. It can be as important as anything, that doesn't mean it's going to get done. The problem is socially, most people feel like, well, it was important, so you should remember, and we put that pressure on ourselves as well. So this is my permission to everybody out there. Importance doesn't do it. You don't. So what it does, to see if I can remember this, what it does tend to run on is, it's called INCUP, isn't it? So interest, novelty, challenge, urgency, yes, and P. Yeah, well, INCUP, there's a P as well. Anyway, there, and actually those aren't necessarily the right categories, right? You can frame it differently as well, but our brains tend to run on different interests, and essentially the overarching is interest. Like, it needs to be interested and lit up to do the thing. And in relation to burnout, when we're sort of pushing through, we're masking, we tend to rely a lot on urgency fuel. And that often means, and it's real, like it is like your brain circuits that's needed for what you need to do doesn't actually light up. There's no clarity. There's no, I don't know how to do this, until it lights up. And when it does, it's just all there, and you're like, whew, and you can do it. And urgency sometimes is often the way that people who are stuck in sort of burnout cycles tend to use a lot of urgency fuel. But of course, then the problem is that last minute, we don't get enough sleep, we might not eat properly, and that can be a week before the deadline or 2 days before the deadline. And the more we rely on that urgency alone, that sort of fuel alone, it will burn us
like
out.
Adrenaline and cortisol, by the sound of it.
Yeah. Because you need a lot more of that to run on urgency as well, which, physically then causes inflammation and gets you into all sorts of trouble in the long run. And so I think, maybe I'm boring in my answer, but I kind of feel like this is why it's so important that you get to know yourself and what lights you up, and what of those other fuel sources that you can rely on, what does that look like for you? This is where it's really good to work with a coach. You can absolutely do that work yourself, but it's probably easier with a coach. Like, we're trained to kind of hear that. Like, it doesn't even really matter what you talk about. Like, we can talk about laundry, or we can talk about how to get that project done at work. But as a trained ADHD coach, we can almost hear what it is that fuels that, and what makes you, when you do stuff, what it is that makes you do stuff. And then you learn that about yourself, and then you can like proactively use that, and that's how it becomes a strategy. Because burnout kind of happens when you're operating in ways that doesn't work for you. You have to push too hard, and you do that too often. So you do need to step back and learn other ways of operating that genuinely works for you, not just like tips and tricks. You can try, obviously, but like, it just needs to be, because there is a way. Like, you do not need to be stuck in that cycle. And I say that because it shocks me every time that somebody comes through, because we live in this world now, right? Like, you have ADHD, we have friends who have ADHD, and it's a very forgiving space to be in, and we still get stuff done, ironically. But when I then get like a new person who's kind of coming for a discovery call or something, and I'm literally the first person they've spoken to who have ADHD, or like understand them. Like I can speak in a way where they feel heard, because like I do just understand them.
Yeah.
And how impactful and life-changing that is for people. So yeah, I like to remind myself of that sometimes, because when you're in this space, like it just feels like everybody knows this and surely everyone understands it. But yeah, there's a lot out there, and people do need to hear this. Like, it's not you. There is a way. There is a way. And just seeing that on their faces as well when they realize, like, you can almost, I don't know if you've had that, but it feels like you can almost see a door opening where they sort of go, oh, this could maybe work in a different way. Could I? And I love that. I love that we get to be that as well. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, it is life-changing. Like, I remember when I first went to my first kind of like, I suppose, meetup with other ADHD adults when I was first diagnosed. And it was online at the time. It was a virtual kind of, like a course, but it was with other, people talking about ADHD. And I just felt like I'd come home. It was the first time that I'd experienced that. It was like, wow, these people get me. I felt like until that moment, I didn't have my people, I suppose. I didn't know that I needed my people, because I didn't know that I had ADHD. So I think it's so powerful. And now, like I say, you were saying, like, we kind of forget sometimes, like that initial feeling that I had then. Like I do a group coaching program, and somebody came in, last month, and she was from my age, in her 50s. And she said on the first night, she said, it's the first time I've felt seen in my whole life, which is quite heartbreaking, really, isn't it? When we think about that, like to get to in your 50s to not feel seen up to that point. But then again, at least I'm providing, there is that opportunity for people to be with other like-minded individuals. So yeah, I get what you're saying there. And I was just thinking that, with the burnout, back to the burnout, do you feel like kind of people pleasing and perfectionism or things like that might kind of play a role as well in the burnout and ADHD?
Yeah.
And how do you see that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think when we try to be everything to everybody, that because it takes executive functions, like anything that just isn't naturally you, it's just going to burn you out quicker in a day, in a week, in a month, like whatever the cycle is, right? Like some people literally can like operate 4 hours a day and that's it. And yes, so I think just being in spaces where you feel like you can be yourself, feeling heard and understood, like being with people who get you, where you don't have to ask permission to do something or apologize to do something, right? And I actually had this conversation with a few of my clients after Christmas period, and they come back and sort of go, I've been trying to get into work rhythm for the last week and I just can't. And I'm like, let's look at what you did for Christmas. And they've spent time in other people's houses, sleeping on sofas and with, relatives or other people they may not know that well, or even if they know them well, right? So essentially, they haven't had downtime. They haven't been able to just kind of go off and like, they can probably go off and do themselves, but they still feel guilty because they should be in that other room, right? So it's not going off and get it decompressed in the same way. And then with the reason Christmas is an interesting example is because we usually have interesting family dynamics where we're trying to manage, that person and their politics and the mother-in-law, whatever it is, right? So there's a lot going on from an executive function perspective that we don't appreciate as even happening. So what's noticeable is like you got an energy hangover because you've just come home and kind of gone, oh gosh, I can finally just So then can you imagine if you are in that, if that's your work environment, say Christmas is like your work environment, or that's your, every time you are doing, out of school activities with your children, and there's, parents or group leaders and whatnot that are not appreciating at all how you function, and you just get constantly criticized for being late or having the wrong thing or forgotten something and whatnot. Like, that all of that is people pleasing, and just trying to fit in. And
it can be exhausting.
It is exhausting. Just talking about it, I'm just like, it's hard. We need to appreciate that it's hard. We need to appreciate what it is about it that it's hard, so that we can be nice about it to ourselves, and we can create environments that are better for us. Yeah.
And I think it goes back to where we started the conversation, full circle, like letting go of the shame. So if you've got nothing to prove or nothing to hide, because then why people please? So people pleasing is, a shame kind of based kind of reaction, isn't it?
I should be able to do this, and listen, just because you should be able to or you can do it doesn't mean that.
And who says you should?
You have to. Yeah, exactly. I always challenge that. Whenever should comes up, I always challenge, I always question it. Like, should? Like, really?
Oh, I think, that is such a common, phrase, isn't it, for ADHDers that are trying to mold themselves into some kind of neurotypical mold. It I should be able to do that. And absolutely. I think I always challenge that. I just think the word, I say, stop shoulding on yourself, really. Yeah. We just remove that word.
I think I've heard you say that before. It's so good. Stop shoulding on yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That
should is just, it's never going to go well when we're shoulding on ourselves.
No. That should be out there.
That should.
Normal. Oh my God, yes. That we really would benefit from having that out there in normal vocabulary. Stop shitting on yourself.
So I feel like we kind of have come full circle maybe. So I just want to end with, is there anything that you would like to finish with? What would you give as a sort of parting message to any ADHDers maybe that are struggling with any of the things we've talked about, or maybe they haven't found their purpose, or what they want to do, or anything?
Well, clarity, I think, is one that, it's not you, first of all, is what I would say. It is not you. I don't care what the issue is. It's not you. It is context, there is lack of clarity or something. But that means that there's something to go in that can be found and figured out and worked on. And I'm not saying work on you, right?
Can you just explain what you mean by context in this?
Oh, yeah.
Can you give some context around the context?
Context I mean is like the environment, right? Or
right.
Like things around you are in the wrong work, or, it can be the wrong home environment as well, or spending time with the wrong people. Yeah. Like it's
like the situation, maybe. The situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see that in workplaces. In workplaces it's a lot more obvious because, you can be an absolute, feel like a failure in one workplace, and then you go and do the same job description in a different company, and they just think you're a superstar, right? So it's not you. It is not you. And that's why I made my context. Like, it's the environment, context, or it is something that, or lack of clarity is like another common one, where we can't make choices, or we're stuck in this, I don't know. It's like, well, something's missing. It's not you. It's not you that don't know. Something's missing. There's parameters missing, or there's you have no decision-making framework to come from. Clarity. I love coming back to clarity. It's what do you need to know in order to move forward or make that decision, or what have you, and stop shitting on yourself.
We should end with that one, I think. Yeah. Well, thank you so much again for coming in to see me, twice. I love it. And I have to have you back a third time maybe in the future.
I'd love to. Try and stop me now.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Can you just remind people where to find you, Tina, if they would like, your coaching or any help in the workplace that, I know that you help people with?
Yeah. So, yes, I do coaching. And my website is adeptina.com. So it's adeptina.com.
Great name.
I also live on LinkedIn a lot because I do a lot of work with organizations and people in the workplace. So LinkedIn's a natural sort of social platform for me to be on. I do have lots of resources on my website as well that hopefully helps with like navigating the workplace or frameworks for productivity, and even some videos and webinars and things that I've done. So if you think that might be helpful, by all means go download it, use it, and but get in touch. Like if you think I can help or answer a question or have some guidance on something, like I'm all up for it. Give me a shout.
Well, actually, just to one last thing with that, I think you mentioned that you do something where you are available to answer questions.
Oh yes, I do a monthly session for ADHD UK, which is a charity.
Yeah.
So they put on this session that I host every month. It's the first Tuesday of every month at 5 p.m. in British time, where you can come and ask any questions about ADHD in the workplace. Is what it's called. Lots of people come with questions. Lots of people come and just kind of lurk and listen. So, whatever suits you, people might come a few times and then third time might ask a question. So come, do you, and, it's a good place to have a conversation. So, yeah.
So there's quite a few ways people can kind
of
get the benefit of you. Yeah. So, well, thank you so much again. And and thanks for listening. And I will see you next week.